where do I even begin with this? So let's start here. Nobody has done more to rebuild and save the Republican Party than Donald Trump since Abraham Lincoln himself. President Trump inherited a broken shell, a hollowed-out husk of a political party after the Bush years, after the Ryan years, after the sellout years, and he turned it into the working-class party, the middle-class party. And he took states that had been blue forever. He took the blue wall. He took states like Wisconsin, states like Ohio, states like Pennsylvania. He pulverized that blue wall. How many Senate races have we seen where President Trump won a state by 8 points, 9 points, 10 points, 11 points, and it was just enough to bring along the Republican senator by half a point or a point to build that Senate Republican majority? How many Senate candidates has he dragged along to victory? And how many rhinos has he forced out of the party to elect real working-class populist Republicans, people like, for example, Eric Schmidt, who represent the future of the Republican Party, where it is today? President Trump has raised more money for Republican candidates than any human in history. He has more enthusiasm and support from Republican voters than any candidate in history. I could keep going, Laura. The reality is, as he said, President Trump is dead on right here. What this comes down to is the Trump voter needs to show up in the midterm.
And if there's no further business to come before the Senate, I ask that it stand adjourned under the previous order.
The Senate stands adjourned till 10 a.m. on Monday.
Hey, Jonathan, this message is for you on this Saturday morning. You're a failure. You really went on vacation and left the American people hanging. We deserve better. We deserve representatives that'll be there. We deserve leaders that'll lead. Leading would have been saying everybody that is in the Senate is going to stay and pass secure election laws before the midterms. But you're not a leader. You're a failure. I look forward to you being Liz Cheney or John Cornyn. It's coming. Your days in the Senate are numbered. Have a great Saturday.
Also have some form of photo ID required, voter ID. And 8 other states are considering it. So the second reason is to make a uniform recommendation in our country through this report that we've issued, so that there is not highly discriminatory laws passed by one party or another. And the third reason is that we put in some very careful constraints to prevent abuse. For instance, these photo ID cards will be free. Secondly, there'll be a wide distribution of them. The states will be required to go around the state to issue these photo ID cards to as many people as possible, which will be a good system just for recruiting new voters. This will be very important. And so this will be, I think, a move forward in getting more people to vote. It will not restrict people from voting. It will be uniformly applied throughout the country, and it will be non-discriminatory.
Americans think we should, and tonight we'll find out if their senators agree. I urge my colleagues to vote yes on this bill to establish a nationwide photo ID standards and give Americans better run, honest, and fair elections. Madam President, I yield the floor.
Will report the motion to invoke cloture. The gentleman from California.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, here we are after months and months of continuing to debate this bill, which still hasn't passed. We should be debating how to bring costs down for working families across the country. I'd love to hear from my colleagues how we're going to get out of this war in Iran, but instead, here's this measure again, which is not a simple voter ID bill. As written, it is stricter than most voter ID bills in states that already have a voter ID law in place. But this goes even further, requiring voters to include a copy of their ID when they vote by mail. As you all know, tens of millions of Americans vote by mail. This bill would do away with secret ballots as we know it. So, colleagues, I urge you to vote no on this measure.
The clerk will report the motion to invoke cloture.
Cloture motion. We, the undersigned senators, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 22 of the Standing Rules of the Senate, do hereby move to bring to a close debate on the motion to proceed to calendar number 547, S5271, a bill to amend the Help America Vote Act of 2002 to require voters to provide photo identification, signed by 17 senators.
Under the previous order, the mandatory quorum call under Rule 22 has been waived. The question is it the sense of the Senate that debate on the motion to proceed to S5271, a bill to amend the Help America Vote Act of 2002, to require voters to provide photo identification, shall be brought to a close? The yeas and nays are mandatory under the rule. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Elsa Brooks.
This president is trying to push this SAVE Act, which basically would require that for people to register to vote, you're going to have proof of who you are through a passport, which a lot of Americans don't have, or a birth certificate. Same point, obstacles to make it difficult for you to register to vote.
I really am dumbfounded that I still have to come to the floor and have this debate with anybody in this chamber. I'm one of the newest senators. I just got to Washington last year on behalf of the great free state of Florida. And I fought like heck to protect that state during challenges this nation had never faced before, and we did it. We're now one of the most successful states, with one of the states with the most secure elections. And you better be darn sure I'm going to do that here as a United States Senator on behalf of all Americans. It shouldn't be controversial. It is not complicated. It is a basic safeguard of our republic that ensures our government remains truly of, by, and for the American people. And from the beginning, the founders understood the importance of fiercely protecting our elections. Framers like Alexander Hamilton knew that our laws and our systems should reflect the will of the American people and no one else. And so Americans must be able to trust that their elections are not corrupted or skewed or nullified by non-citizens voting or ineligible persons voting. Questions about election integrity are not new. They were recognized and debated by the founders themselves. During the Constitutional Convention, one member expressed concern that states may make false returns of their elections. States today give licenses to those here illegally and then register them to vote. A lot of that paperwork happens at the same time. And it's the responsibility of Congress to uphold the election integrity of this country. It's our responsibility to do that on behalf of our constituents back home. In fact, I think it's the responsibility of this chamber to put it up for a vote so they can see who is standing up for them back home. That is the only way we can ensure the people have confidence in this system and the legitimacy of our results of elections. And this is about more than one bill. Look at any of the election integrity measures that are coming up. I'm proud until we act upon the most vital aspect of protecting our democracy, and that is securing our elections so that we remain a government of Americans, free Americans, by Americans, for Americans. And I'm here today to make sure that happens. Our great American experiment hinges on the sanctity and integrity of our elections. And it is our responsibility, every single one of us, no matter what side of the aisle we sit on, to protect the United States of America and everything that it was built on. And to do that, we have to ensure that only Americans and legitimate voters participate in American elections. Over 250 years ago, this nation began as a bold experiment in self-representative government. And we are still guided by those enduring words that followed, "We the people." And while the challenges we face today may seem more modern, certainly more complex, and more immediate than those confronting the founders, the principles they laid out remain steadfast, guarantees to our people. We, the people, agreed we would live among one another, create, enforce, and uphold our laws. And to do that, we created a strong republic that depended on we, the people, being engaged in our elections to select our representatives, the representatives of the people, to serve our interests. And the Save America Act, indeed, election integrity efforts are grounded in a simple, common sense, indeed foundational principle that only American citizens should vote in American elections.
The Save America vote on the voter ID component failed. Not a single Democrat joined us. We're going to have to keep fighting on that one. We're not done. We're just getting started. We had the voice vote on adjourning, and it failed. They outvoted us. That was the first time, as far as I'm aware, in decades when any vote has been held on any significant recess or adjournment. And I hope to have more of those in the future. I don't know what else to say other than thanks to all of those who encouraged us to keep going, to keep fighting. We did our best. Left no stone unturned. I wish the outcome had been different, both as to adjournment and as to these votes. But this fight's not over. We're just getting started.
I move to adjourn pursuant to the previous order.
The questions on the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. No. The ayes have it. The motion's agreed to.
Thanks for your help, buddy. Thank you.
Americans think we should, and tonight we'll find out if their senators agree. I urge my colleagues to vote yes on this bill to establish a nationwide photo ID standards and give Americans better run, honest, and fair elections. Madam President, I yield the floor.
Will report the motion to invoke cloture. The gentleman from California.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, here we are after months and months of continuing to debate this bill, which still hasn't passed. We should be debating how to bring costs down for working families across the country. I'd love to hear from my colleagues how we're going to get out of this war in Iran, but instead, here's this measure again, which is not a simple voter ID bill. As written, it is stricter than most voter ID bills in states that already have a voter ID law in place. But this goes even further, requiring voters to include a copy of their ID when they vote by mail. As you all know, tens of millions of Americans vote by mail. This bill would do away with secret ballots as we know it. So, colleagues, I urge you to vote no on this measure.
The clerk will report the motion to invoke cloture.
Cloture motion, we the undersigned senators, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 22 of the standing rules of the Senate, do hereby move to bring to a close debate on the motion to proceed to calendar number 547, S5271, a bill to amend the Help America Vote Act of 2002 to require voters to provide photo identification, signed by 17 senators.
Under the previous order, the mandatory quorum call under Rule 22 has been waived. The question is it the sense of the Senate that debate on the motion to proceed to S5271, a bill to amend the Help America Vote Act of 2002 to require voters to provide photo identification, shall be brought to a close? The yeas and nays are mandatory under the rule. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Elsa Brooks.
About why they were filibustering voter ID, not just vote in ditch town.
Well, first of all, it's good to be with you. Senator Lee is 100% correct. This is why he has supported major changes to the Senate filibuster, essentially requiring U.S. senators to hold the floor if they want to filibuster legislation, because what happens is they just withhold their vote on common sense legislation like requiring voter ID in our elections. Simple stuff that everybody agrees on, they withhold their votes and then they just go home. And this is disrespectful to the people of our country. It is overwhelming that the American people want voter ID in our elections, and that they also want to make sure that people who are voting are American citizens. It's not even close, except if you're an elected Democrat, because once again, we are seeing that the Democrat Party, the elected elites, they want to protect their power as opposed to securing the elections of the American people.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. To grab a warm cup of coffee, find a comfortable seat, and settle in with me for a moment. Today, I want to share a story with you that is unfolding right now at this very minute. It is a story about fairness, about courage, and about the deep love we all share for this beautiful country. Thank you for being here to listen. Folks, gather around, because what just happened in Washington over these past few hours is the kind of moment that makes your heart pound and your blood run hot with pure American pride. Early this very morning, as the bright sun was just starting to peek over the big white dome of the Capitol building, the United States Senate packed up their bags. They quietly headed out of town to start a long, lazy August vacation. They tried to slip out the back door while the rest of the country was just waking up. And the saddest part, they left without passing the Save America Act. They left the most important promise to the American people just sitting on the table. We saw a stunning display of weakness from the Washington insiders today. Some leaders who are supposed to fight for us just gave up. Men like Senate Majority Leader John Thune threw their hands in the air and surrendered without even putting up a fight. It was a heartbreaking moment of weakness. When things got tough late last night, instead of standing tall for the people, they chose to go on vacation. But please, do not let your heart be heavy. Do not think for one single second that this is the end of the story, because we are just getting started. Even though the Washington insiders tried to run away from their duty just a few hours ago, the American spirit of resilience is shining brighter than the morning sun. And that is all because of one man who refuses to ever back down. Our 45th and 47th president, Donald Trump, continues to stand as a heartwarming beacon of hope, while others were packing their bags to leave. President Trump was awake, working hard, and tirelessly championing everyday patriots like you and me. President Trump understands something very simple that the insiders seem to forget. He knows that regular moms, dads, and hardworking families just want secure and fair elections. The Save America Act is not complicated. It is just common sense. It simply says that if you want to vote, you need to show real proof that you are an American citizen, not a guess, not a pinky promise, but real proof. And when you go to vote, you show a photo ID so everyone knows it is really you. It is just like playing a game with fair rules so that everybody trusts the final score. Right now, as the morning turns into afternoon, outrage is bubbling up in living rooms and diners all across the country. People are turning on their televisions and realizing that the Senate went home without doing their job. But because of President Trump's incredible strength and constant leadership, that anger is turning into deep, powerful hope. He is reminding all of us today that he is our voice, and he will never stop fighting to make sure our voices are heard perfectly and honestly. The insiders might think they can just run away, but the truth is they have awakened a sleeping giant. The fight is far from over, and a big surprise is waiting right around the corner. Let me paint a picture for you so you can feel exactly what happened in Washington, right in your bones. All week long, the halls of the Senate were buzzing like a busy beehive. President Trump had made his message crystal clear. To everyone, the Save America Act must be the #1 priority. Why? Because protecting the sacred right of every single American citizen to have their voice counted honestly is the most important thing we can do for our country. This bill is so simple and it is incredibly powerful. It just says that if you want to register to vote in a federal election, you need to show real proof that you are a citizen of these United States. Not a guess, not a pinky swear. Real, honest documents. And when you go to cast your ballot, you show a photo ID so everyone knows it is really you. It also puts common sense limits on mail-in voting so that the whole process stays completely clean and trusted. That is America first, through and through. That is the kind of basic, honest common sense that regular moms and dads in Ohio and Texas and Florida have been begging for. As Friday night rolled in, it turned into a long, late, and heavy battle. The senators stayed in that building way past midnight. The lights in those big, beautiful marble buildings stayed on while the rest of our hardworking country finally went to sleep. Brave leaders, working hand in hand with President Trump, pushed as hard as they could. They even brought up a focused version of the idea that would simply require a photo ID at the polls. When the moment of truth came in the dark of night, 52 brave Republicans stood up and voted yes. That was a strong, beautiful showing of support for election integrity. But the old, dusty Senate rule still demands 60 votes to move things forward, and the other side completely dug in their heels. They refused to listen to the American people. Because of that roadblock, the full Save America Act did not cross the finish line before the recess. The Senate packed up and adjourned in the early hours of Saturday morning, heading home until mid-September. Right now, as we sit here today, some folks in the media are dancing around like they won a prize. They are acting like this fight is over and done. But those of us who love this country know better. President Trump never quits. He never folds. He has spent months shining the brightest spotlight on election integrity that this great nation has ever seen. He has told the American people the truth over and over again. Free and fair elections are the absolute foundation of everything we hold dear. Without them, the rest of the freedoms we love so much start to crack. And the beautiful thing is, the people are listening. From the busy factories in Pennsylvania to the quiet farms in Iowa, regular Americans are standing taller today because of his unstoppable leadership. Think about what this moment really means for everyday families sitting around their kitchen tables this very morning. Imagine a hardworking dad who gets up before dawn every single day to build houses or fix heavy trucks. His hands are calloused, his back aches, but he pays his taxes honestly and proudly teaches his young kids the pledge of allegiance before school. All he asks from his government is that when election day comes, his single vote carries the exact same weight as every other citizen's in this land. No more, no less. The Save America Act was written for that dad. It was written for the sweet grandmother who patiently waited in line for hours in the cold just to make sure her voice was heard. It was written for the young veteran who served our country overseas in uniform, risking his life, and came home expecting those same basic rules of honesty back here in the nation he loves. When the Senate packed up and left town without finishing the job, those everyday Americans felt a sharp sting of frustration. But right behind that frustration, something much stronger began to rise. Pure, deep hope. Why? Because they know President Donald Trump is not done fighting for them. He has already made it crystal clear that when the Senate returns, this bill will be sitting right at the top of the list. Stories of incredible patriotism are pouring in from every single corner of the country today. A dedicated nurse in North Carolina shared how she works exhausting double shifts at the hospital, yet still finds time to volunteer at her local polling place because she wants every single ballot to be clean and real. She said seeing President Trump stand up so boldly for the Save America Act makes her feel truly seen and respected. Out in Arizona, a small business owner said his whole family gathered around a television to listen to President Trump speak about protecting our elections. His 10-year-old daughter looked up with big, curious eyes and asked why anyone would object to showing a simple photo ID to vote. Her father held her hand and explained it in simple terms. Because, honest, clear rules make the whole system fair and strong for everybody. These are not just distant stories. This is the beating heart of millions of citizens who love this country. President Trump understands this deep down in his soul. He knows that when you protect the vote, you protect the border. You protect our jobs, and you protect our children's future. While D.C. politicians pack their bags, President Trump stays right by our side, reminding us that every single legal vote is sacred. Let us take a quick step back and look at exactly how we arrived at this very moment today. For so many years, honest Americans watched in silence as our elections got more and more complicated, and sadly, a lot less trusted. We all saw the confusing mail-in ballots piling up by the thousands. We watched as the rules seemed to shift and change wildly depending on what state you lived in. It was frustrating, and it made good, hardworking people start to wonder if their single vote even mattered anymore. But then President Donald Trump stepped forward. During his very first term, he bravely talked about this problem when the Washington insiders wanted to keep it quiet. In the years after, he never stopped talking about it. He never let it go. And when you, the American people, proudly sent him back to the White House as our 47th president, he made sure election integrity was his top priority. Once again, because of his bold and constant leadership, the House of Representatives already passed a very strong version of the Save America Act earlier this year. That was a huge, beautiful victory for our country. Now, the Senate has a chance to finish the important work. You see, President Trump's incredible strength is on full display here today. Some politicians in Washington are simply too weak to keep fighting for us. Men like John Thune showed they do not have the stamina, the energy, or the backbone to do the heavy lifting required to lead. When the hour got late and they grew tired, they surrendered. But President Trump, he never gets tired of fighting for you. He keeps pushing for the complete package. He knows that when you secure our elections, you are doing so much more than just counting pieces of paper. You are protecting our borders. You are protecting our jobs. You are protecting our local schools. And most importantly, you are protecting the future of our precious children. He understands that when everyday citizens completely trust the voting process, they trust their country again. That is why he has made this a national priority. The fact that the Senate is forced to come back in September with this bill still sitting right on the table is all because of President Trump's relentless, unstoppable pressure. He is keeping the heat turned all the way up. He is keeping the focus incredibly sharp. He worked hand in hand with true conservative leaders, and the deal to bring the full bill back for a vote in September actually came with his blessing. Do not let the media tell you that is weakness. That is brilliant strategy. That is the smart, careful, long game of a leader who has already achieved the greatest political comeback in American history. While the establishment tries to run away and hide, President Trump is already 10 steps ahead. He is delivering results one hard-fought step at a time, and he will not rest until our elections are safe. When you take a step back and look at the bigger picture of our great nation, history is full of special, unforgettable moments when determined patriots simply refused to give up. Think all the way back to the founding fathers who stayed inside hot, sweltering rooms in Philadelphia through the heat of summer just to write the Constitution for our freedom. Think of the generations of regular, everyday Americans who stood in long lines, rain or shine, just to cast their honest vote. President Donald Trump stands directly in that same brave American tradition. He is a leader who tells us the truth, even when it is hard. He is the leader who inspired a movement of millions of mothers, fathers, workers, and grandparents who still wave the red, white, and blue flag with pure pride. And he is the leader who will not rest until every single American can look at our next election and say, with complete confidence, that it was fair, secure, and worthy of our great republic. The Senate politicians may have packed their bags to leave Washington for a few weeks, but the American people have not left the fight for a single second. The outrage we all feel today is real because we want the job finished, right? But that outrage is already turning into something far greater, pure American energy. Right now, on this Sunday morning, families are talking around their breakfast tables. People are picking up their phones, typing out heartfelt letters, and getting ready to make their voices heard louder than ever before. A massive rising wave of support is building at this very moment, and it will be waiting to greet those senators the exact second they step back into Washington. And here's the most exciting part of all. Chuck Schumer's victory party is completely premature. All hope is not lost, because one courageous conservative senator is standing in the gap right now. The procedural rules in the Senate mean that a single, strong, principled senator holds the key to force this issue back onto the floor, bypass the filibuster, and push for the full vote our country deserves. That key is still sitting right on the table. The lock can still be turned. And when that door swings open for total victory, it will be because President Donald Trump kept the bright light of truth shining on election integrity every single day without flinching. So here we stand together on this Sunday morning, just hours after the Senate left town. The fight for the Save America Act is not over. It is more alive and passionate than ever. President Donald Trump is right at the helm, strong, focused, and putting America first in every single decision. Everyday patriots are standing shoulder to shoulder with him. This is not a setback. This is the calm before the next great push. And when September arrives, the whole world will see once again why President Trump's leadership is the ultimate beacon of hope and the true heartbeat of this nation. Stay strong, stay proud, and keep the faith. America is worth every bit of this fight. And with President Trump leading the way, we are going to win it for our children and our children's children. Thank you so much for sitting down and sharing this powerful moment with me today. If this story warmed your heart and filled you with hope for the future of our country, please take a quick second to press that like button. I would love to hear your thoughts. So please leave a comment down below and tell me where in our great nation you are watching from today. If you believe in standing up for fair elections and protecting the American dream, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you never miss a single story. Together, our voices are unstoppable. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.